Welcome to Party Yeah, the show that brings you all BTS-related news, information, discussion topics, and more every Wednesday at 7 p.m. I'm Tola.
I'm Mariah.
I'm Taylor.
And today we're talking about Jimin's Face EP during this week's session of RUL8 to The Face Album, while also talking about Jimin's production diary on Weverse. We'll also take time to introduce a new segment called Do You Think It Makes Sense? A segment where we provide our list of our top 5 items to match a designated category and justify why we believe it does make sense. Then we'll wrap up this week's episode with a session of Could You Silence Your Cell Phone to get you updated on what's been going on with BTS this past week. Thanks for joining today's episode and stay tuned.
Hello everyone, welcome back. We want to thank you all for returning for another episode of Party Yeah podcast. Woo! Let's start with Oh, Are You Late to the Album, a segment where we talk about past and present albums by BTS or individual members and list the song from our most to least favorite. Please note that these are our personal opinions, and although it's understandable that BTS makes great music, some songs may not hold equal standing to their album counterparts, at least in our opinion, and that's okay. In addition, we will be ranking each song out of 5, which will be averaged to generate an overall personal album ranking out of 5 stars. Before we start, which song do you believe tops each other's lists? Let's see how well we know each other.
Okay, so I'm not losing this time because I lost last time. I think Mariah actually got Taylor's top right, or maybe Taylor got Mariah's top right last time. I'm coming back with the fire. So for Taylor, I thought that she would enjoy Alone. And then for Mariah, I thought that she would enjoy Set Me Free Part 2. That's my guesses, and I'm sticking with them.
All right. So for Taylor, I thought Set Me Free Part 2. And for Tola, I thought Set Me Free Part 2. So hopefully that's right.
For Mariah, I had Like Crazy. And for Tola, I had Set Me Free Part 2.
Okay. Did anyone get it right?
So Tola, you got mine right.
Set Me Free Part 2?
Yes. Anybody else get it right?
No, I don't think so. Wait, Taylor, you said for me, which one? Set Me Free?
Yes, Set Me Free.
Okay, yeah, no, sorry. All right, Mariah, let's start with your list then.
I will say, Mariah, you got mine right. Set Me Free Part 2.
Oh, yay. Okay, cool. So, my list, top number 1 off the Face album, hands down. Mm-hmm. No crumbs left. Set Me Free Part 2.
Okay.
Easy.
I agree.
It was so good. Like, it's kind of what I expected, but not what I was expecting. So it just made it like not predictable, but like kind of predictable. I don't know. I didn't even know how to put it into words. That's how good it was. And I was raving about it, I think, to you guys literally right after it came out. So, and the music video and everything just with it, the choreography, it was just so good to me. Next is, so I rated that 5 out of 5, sorry. Okay, so number 2 on my list is Alone. I didn't think I was gonna like this one too much when I first heard it, but as I kept playing it, I started to like it more. I think this is when we get, Jimin's voice featured a lot more when it comes to the ballad aspect of it. Mm-hmm. It was just a good, like, I could like play it on repeat. So I gave that one a 4 out of 5. Okay. Next is Like Crazy. And I was between Like Crazy and Face Off for this. I like Crazy because it's different. I think it gives like, I don't know, like disco like vibes a little bit. Mm-hmm. But Face Off, I like the lyrics of Face Off. Like, I just like the whole overall vibe of it. But I think I would play Like Crazy more in my car. So Like Crazy, I gave 4 out of 5. And then Face Off coming in at number 4, I gave a 3 out of 5. Okay. And then since we're including Like Crazy, the English version, I added that as my fifth.
Mhm.
That's a 3 out of 5. I only ranked that low because I'm like they're Korean pop stars. Like I'm not gonna put the English version at the very top for me at
Mhm.
least. And then number 6, Interlude Dive, because it wasn't really an actual song, so that's just at the bottom of my list naturally. So
What's
overall,
your overall? Yeah.
yeah, I rated the album a 3.7 out of 5, which I would say like a 4 out of 5. I think it's overall really good. Like we got some aspects that we were predictable from Jimin, which we wanted to hear, and then we had some aspects that were unpredictable from him, which was very refreshing. So I think it was a good balance of both, which made the overall album pretty good.
What were the unpredictable aspects you were referring to, in your opinion, like for you?
Well, him like cussing, like especially like set me
We'll get into
free,
that with the
and
production diary.
you said what?
I said we'll get into that with the production
I
diary.
know, right? And then and face off, like I just I don't know, just like the tone of it was like he's over it. Like,
Mhm.
like he was giving mature Jimin, which I guess we did expect, but I didn't expect it in that way. Like Jimin is more like shy. I expect that from like Suga or like Namjoon, people who are more extroverted in their lyrics,
Mhm.
not really Jimin. So I thought that was very like
Mhm.
relatable.
Oh, all right. Okay, what about your list?
My list, so I had Set Me Free Part 2 was number 1, and
Mhm.
that was a 5 out of 5 for me.
Uh-huh.
Hence why it made it to the very top of my list. My second one was Face Off, and this one was also a 5 out of 5. I will say it moved up. I think the more I like listened to like the entire album, but
Mhm.
I don't know why, but that's just one song that when I'm like wanting something very upbeat, it's like one of my go-to songs now. So
Yeah.
that's why it has ranked so high for me. Number 3 was Like Crazy, and that one I scored a 4 out of 5. The next one after that was Alone. That one I gave a 4 out of 5 as well. And
Okay.
then Like Crazy, the English version was a 3 out of 5. I agree with Mariah. I couldn't rank the English version over the Korean version. And I think I didn't listen to it as much when I was first like listening to the songs. Like I definitely listened to the Korean version more. And
Mhm.
then I um eventually went back and started listening to that one too. I was like, well, I guess I gotta listen to it, and also it's a good way to also learn the lyrics. So, but
Mm.
yeah, I agree. I definitely listened to the Korean version more. So that one was a 3 out of 5 for me. And then the interlude dive, yeah, last one, same thing because it was just an interlude, but it was very well done. And so I gave it like a 3 out of 5.
Yeah.
So overall, my score was a 4 out of 5.
I was surprised Alone wasn't that high on your list.
I am too, because that was my song for you. So
I was, well, initially I did really like it more, but again, it was like kind of as I started listening to more of the album, like they just moved around more. And I think the only reason I originally liked Alone as higher was because it was a little bit more of that softer song. But I don't know, then I just realized I liked the other songs more. But I will say, give an honorable mention off to the side to the letter slash Dear Army that Jimin did. I really liked that song. That was one song I was, because again, it goes into that. It's a softer song, more of a ballad and stuff. And it was definitely one that I wanted to hear from Jimin on the album, because as much as like all those other songs were very upbeat, and I was like, I really want something that sounds like that showcases his voice, like I said, of liking those kinds of songs. And so when I heard the hidden track of Letter Dear Army, I was so happy. It was so pretty and so good. So I would definitely, if I could rank it, it would be that one would be number 2 on my list if I could rank it in there.
okay. So you said overall you had a 4 out of 5 for the whole album?
If I just had a 5 stars, yes, it would still be a 4 out of 5 stars.
All right. What about you, Tola?
All right. So the top of my list was actually Like Crazy, the
Okay.
Korean version. Let me say that. That was, I don't know, it it was an immediate 5 out of 5. Like I just had fun listening to it. I enjoyed the vibe of the song. I just felt like the direction of this album in general, I felt like he emoted whatever emotions he was trying to portray. Like it was very much, I'm in the club, but I'm going through a few different emotions at the same time. I don't know how to describe that properly, but that's what it gave.
Yeah, different facets of his experience.
Yes, yes. And I do, well, I guess we'll get into that more when we talk about the production diary, but I will say because of that, this song was a 5 out of 5 too, because I feel like just watching the process helped as well. Okay, so yeah, that was a 5 out of 5 song for me. Alone was also another 5 out of 5, and it was my number 2 song on the album. I really like how they described it as a sorrowful dance party because that is exactly what it gave.
Yeah,
Before I saw that description, I was like, I don't know why. I just want to dance and vibe, but also like I'm in my feelings. And I told y'all about not wanting to go into the colder months sad, but I might be okay with this one. Okay.
right. It was good.
Yes, it was.
It was very good. I really liked everything that it was giving. And also I liked I don't know. I just feel like it was a great way to display his vocal prowess.
I agree.
Like all the layering and things like that that they added to the song. It just like it kept saying, "Oh my gosh, like he's so capable of this," and then he goes and he adds a little bit of something to it, and it's like, "Oh my goodness!" Like it just keeps getting better for me.
Yeah.
Although it did not like I feel like overall though, even though they're both 5 out of 5 songs, like Crazy Still, was number 1 for me. My number 2 song was actually Set Me Free Part 2.
Okay.
I really liked it. I can hear the Supreme Boy. I heard that Supreme Boy influence in there. I'm not playing with y'all. As soon as I heard that little bit of bass and that little bit of to it, I said, wait, let me scroll down to the bottom. It says Supreme Boy. I know when he touches a piece of work, like
right.
you that's like that low key honorary 8th BTS member in my heart because he's coming through. So that made the track like crazy for me. I felt like it delivered suave hype vibes. Yeah, so that was that, and I gave that song a 4 out of 5. A 4 out of 5 stars. My number 5 was Like Crazy, the English version. It's still pretty high on the list, which is funny because it outranks a little bit of the other songs or the 2 other songs. But I liked the English version, though I preferred it in Korean. It was still serving. It was still giving the emotions that it intended to give. So that came at a 3 out of 5 for me, as did Face Off. Now, the melody of Face Off, I really enjoyed it. It was nice. It was something that I like envisioned getting ready to on a get ready with me type of playlist thing, like something that I'm like casually listening to while I'm just going about my day and doing things. But that was pretty much all that I could like envision myself doing when listening to the song, and that's why Face Off is at my number 5. And that has a 3 out of 5 stars. Not a bad ranking. Lastly was the interlude, Dive, 3 out of 5. I feel like that's self-explanatory. So overall, my album ranking came to a 3.83 out of 5.
Okay. So we're all pretty similar, like around that 4 out of 5 range, basically, then.
Definitely.
That's how you know it's overall a really good album.
Oh yeah, exactly. I was like, I think that's pretty good.
Yeah.
To anything that's over, I feel like even 3 out of 5 stars is still a pretty solid album.
Yeah.
I think anything that's over like a 3.5 for me personally is something that I really enjoy. Like I can say, oh, I absolutely enjoyed that album, even if it had like some misses in my opinion. If it's over a 3.5 rating, like it has strong hitters, like it has heavy hitters.
Agreed.
I will say my only critique was I just wish there was more songs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does anyone know like why he didn't do that many?
Watching the process, and I know it probably didn't like span. I know there's probably more days that went into it, but that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
A lot of emotional whiplash. I
Yeah.
can understand why it might have just been 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was gonna be my guess too. I was thinking that if anything, it might have just came down to timing.
Yeah.
And I feel like also Jimin was very particular with his
Yeah.
work when he was working on this. So it could have really just been him like, I don't feel like this matches the story or the scenario that we're trying to deliver. And therefore, I don't think the song is necessary to this story, but
Yeah.
could have packed it away for another album.
It was more part of the production process.
Now that we've discussed how we felt about the Face EP, we're going to discuss Jimin's production diary on Weverse. This is just a recap and our discussion about what we watched. So please, we encourage you to go and watch it for yourself.
Yep.
So what did you guys think?
I loved it. There's something about just like artists in general in a documentary, diary, biopic, whatever setup that I just gobble up like I'm eating for days. Loved it. I think it was just very interesting to see that process play out. One of the things I wrote down in like my little notes was that I never really considered the emotional whiplash artists have to put themselves in when they're writing and crafting these lyrics, especially when they like have hands in, the writing and the development side of it. They have to like emit those emotions. So there was one scene where Jimin is singing, I don't know if it was like one of the overlays for Alone or like a soft portion of the song or something, but instead of sitting in the chair, this man sat on the floor and he was huddled in the corner. He looked like sad, like he put himself in that like feeling, and I was like, wait, this is art. But you're really pulling that emotion and that feeling out of you. And I think he even said that's like what he has to do in order to deliver the feeling that he wanted to portray through the song. Because as y'all saw, Alone seemed to be like the song he really struggled with because, it's writing for a ballad. I guess it's just known amongst artists that that's a difficult thing to do. Yeah. So on top of that, him being a low-key perfectionist, at least from that's what I picked up, him wanting to create something that was perfect and a ballad while he's trying, like it was just I like that song process specifically the most, but that's like my major highlight.
Yeah, I thought it was excellent too. I think all the boys, putting out these documentaries, it's a way for Army to kind of see all the work that, goes behind it. I think his was more like raw and longer. With the other boys that we've seen so far, like they were a little bit shorter when it comes to behind the scenes, but more about like their traveling and everything. But it was really, really cool to see the behind the scenes for a longer period of time of each song. Like I thought that was very eye-opening of like how much they actually are part of the production of it. Like when Jimin was playing like that childhood song on his piano, like that made it onto the actual album. I just thought that was so funny. Like it was just something that he had in his head, and he just started playing it for fun. And then the producer was like, "Oh yeah, we'll use that." Like I thought it was cool that like little noises that they would just make and things like that could end up in the song. So yeah, overall, I thought it was really good, eye-opening. There's a lot of work that goes into it that we can finally kind of visualize of,
Was that P-Dog?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. I think he produces a lot of their.
Yeah, he does. Yeah. I just wanted to be sure before I started saying.
It was like P-Dog, Ghost Loop.
Yep.
One of the very
Evan, I think was the other one.
Evan, yeah. So yeah, it seems like they have all really good chemistry. They never turn down like each other's like ideas. Like it was just really.
I think it was the 4 of them that consistently wrote it. I know RM like kind of contributed his knowledge and IQ expertise. Thank you, my man. Thank you. But at the same time, like it seemed like it was the 4 of them, and as you said, they worked very. That's a well-oiled machine.
It was really.
Yeah.
What about you, Ted? What did you think of it?
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. I do love seeing all those like behind the scenes type of stuff too, and really get to see like the process. And I know it's like it seems like they all have very different processes from the other in comparison to like the other two documentaries we've seen, it seems like there's different processes that go into it. So it was just really interesting to see Jimin's process and everything that he got to do. And I liked that it was just, some of it seemed like it was just on his like phone camera or like a little handheld camera, and he just like plopped us in the room with him and was very candid, and we got to see like every little thing that was going on in the room, and when they were writing the lyrics, and yeah, like when they were just like, hey, let's just record this little thing or that little thing. So it was very interesting to watch.
Yeah, and P Dog was very like motivating, I feel like, to Jimin. Like, even though something might have sounded weird or, doesn't sound like it should be part of a song to us, like Jimin would say little things or make little noises, and he's like, "Oh yeah, let's use it. Let's use it."
Can I tell you one of my favorite moments between P Dog and Jimin?
What?
Yes.
So P Dog and Jimin were writing lyrics. I can't remember for, maybe it was for Set Me Free, maybe it was, I don't remember what it was, like crazy. But there was a line where he's like, I tried to hide, and that's what P Dog said. And Jimin's like, I tried to run away, and they were like, bravo, yes, that's so much better. Yes, that is it. That's the line.
Yeah, he was just like, he was it was so cool. Like, it was very open to what Jimin had to
say, because
Yeah.
I think he wanted Jimin to know, like, this is your album.
Mhm.
As much as like they all like, it's all like a little bit of their baby. I feel like everybody has a firm understanding that like, Jimin, this is like your product.
Yes.
This is your child. So if you want to have like the overseeing creative difference, and they probably respected, and I mean, I know the boys in general all pretty much like try to be hands-on with their albums as much as they can. But, like, I feel like he really respected like this whole sit down. Like, they were really embracing the process of making the music, but also like having drinks and like really bonding with each other, because I feel like you can't make something good if you're not somehow connected or in tune with the people that you're doing it with.
Yeah. There was a point, and I think it was Set Me Free Part 2, if I can remember correctly. I forget, but it was a point where I think P Dog was offering like a type of style in the lyric, like it was like more of like shouting, and Jim was like, I don't know if that's gonna sound right. But he trusted the process and he did it, and then it ended up being on the album. So it's like it was very intimate, and they all have trust within each other. It's cool.
I think so I had like a few like different things that I really liked, and I'm curious to know like which song process you guys kind of enjoyed watching the most. I know I already told you guys I enjoyed watching Alone, but I also enjoyed Like Crazy, and of course those were my 2 5-star songs on my album rating. But I think overall, now I want to say Like Crazy might have been my favorite process to watch, because I think that's the one in my notes I'm talking about. They were layering the vocals on the track, and he used so many different styles of layering that it sounds so cool. And I think even they were like very impressed, and they were getting excited with the end product. And it kind of made me want to like step back and think about the times where we may hear layering on like their other tracks and things like that. And it made me think that that process has to be spontaneous. Like they have to decide in that moment as they're going through, let's layer on, let's add another set of vocals on top of this, let's add like a whole different line on top of this one. Like, it's never something that you can just have. Well, maybe it is something you can have planned out, but I feel like it's a gem when they do it in that moment. And that's how, at least it seemed, they were kind of coming up with it too. Because as you said, P Dog would suggest, why don't we try this, why don't we try this, and I'm sure like some of the other guys did too. I don't know who was who in the room, but I feel like, I don't know, that those are my thoughts. So if y'all understood that, then thank you for following along.
Yeah, I understood. My favorite process was Face Off, because I thought it was just so cute that Jimin was playing that, like, I don't know if it's a childhood song, but he just started playing something on the piano, and he was saying how it's like the only thing he knew how to play on the piano. And they actually used it at the beginning of Face Off. And then they probably took aspects of it throughout the whole song. But I just thought that it was super dope, because it's, something that he just thought of on the fly, and they just like used it. So that was a cool moment.
He definitely used spontaneity to his advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I liked seeing him actually like in the studio when he was actually recording. I thought that was really cool to see him going through that process, and he was like continuously like, okay, I'm gonna try this again. Okay, I'm gonna try this again. I'm gonna try this again. He was really like working his vocals and
Oh,
getting it like the
agree.
right pitch and the right sound. And I liked hearing that process
And
for
he
sure.
has like very smooth vocals, but as you said, he was
Mhm.
very picky and particular with that process.
Mhm.
And for me, it was like the equivalent of replaying. Like, y'all know, like when you're playing a song in the car and you just like bodied a section, you just got to go replay
Mm-hmm.
the song so you can rebody
Mhm.
it and rebody it and rebody it. Like, you just got to keep singing that one part because you know you're going to kill it every time, but you want to make sure that you kill it in the way that the song deserves.
Yeah.
So,
Like,
like, that is what it gave me.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Mhm.
And also, I would like to say there was a very human part of the video that I just really loved. Y'all are gonna be like, this is so random. But I said Jimin's humanity was confirmed when he was having like that little writer's block moment and he kept circling the coffee table and
Oh
P
yeah.
Dog's like, yo, sit down.
Oh yes, he's definitely a like wanderer when he's thinking. He was
Right.
circling that whole room for like an hour.
He was making me anxious too. And I was like, I'm with P Dog on this one. Like,
Right.
bro, sit down.
So
He's a
funny.
I gotta move and think kind of person.
Right, he really was, and he's like, but you know, this actually helped for something else. And when he like started like stop moving, he kind of like sat down a little bit, but then something came to him, and I was like, okay,
Mhm.
well, you do you, because like I would have needed to take a nap, take a like
Mm,
a siesta, a food break. I got to get my thoughts together. It's not going to come that quickly for me.
right.
Yes.
It's probably exhausting, like especially when you have like writer's block or you don't know like exactly what you want to do. But the
Mhm.
fact that they could sit there and just do that, I don't know how long it took, but it seemed like it was a back to back to back type of day, or week.
Mhm.
So
Remember
that
the
could be
emotional whiplash.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's exhausting.
for sure. All right, that's a wrap for this segment. If there was any ranking you really agreed with or disagreed with, politely tell us why using the hashtag BTS Army Stories PPY on Twitter, and make sure to follow us on Instagram or Twitter at PPY_podcasts. Let us know how you would have ranked the album in this segment too.
All right, so now we would like to introduce another fun game on our channel called Do You Think It Makes Sense? Where we provide a list of our top 5 songs to match the designated category and justify why we think it makes sense. Please note that these are our personal opinions, and we want to use this segment to introduce our styles, our taste in music, our preferences to our listeners so you can get to know more about us. So before we start, how are you guys feeling? You ready?
I'm ready to defend my choices.
All right, because this one's going to be a tough one. I feel like there's going to be a big debate. Okay. So
Cool stuff.
the rules are we're going to provide a category. This category today is going to be top 5 vocal songs and top 5 rap line songs. So each person's kind of provide their top 5 ranking and then just justify why you think it's, superior on your list. And then we can, talk about it. Okay? So let's start with our top 5 vocal line songs. Tola, you go first. What's your
Okay.
top 5 vocal line songs?
Top 5 vocal line songs. The first one was House of Cards. The vocal is truly delivered. This is #1 material. Like, we cannot deny that, everybody bodied their parts.
They slayed.
No, like quite literally. Whoo, them high notes, the holding of the high notes, the building, the melody, the beat is #1. We all know it's everybody's #1.
Yes.
So that's cool.
So what vibe was it giving you? Because
it's giving me like that's something that I would low-key think of in a James Bond movie. I don't know if that's
okay, I was saying
did you say the same thing?
Yes.
Yes, like as soon as the song plays, I see Mr. Bond himself
Right.
walking down a hallway. Okay. So
Definitely spy movie.
thank you. Okay, so my #2 was Dimple. Dimple is like the cutest, the happiest, the most refreshing song. And I again think the vocal line delivered.
Mhm.
I understood the assignment. It wasn't breathy, it was more airy. It was more on the airy side for Dimple. And that's why I feel like it's the right amount. Number
Yeah.
two, quality. Number three, truth untold. Now, this is the right amount of breathy.
Right. That.
Right? Okay, so I'm glad I'm glad you're sticking to the you on the same track as me. So
Yeah.
I feel like Truth Untold, though it is a phenomenal song and it could easily, on any other day make top one, top two, against the contenders above it, House of Cards and Dimples, I just feel like, it's not necessarily there for me.
Okay. Okay.
My fourth one was Lost. Of course, we knew that a song from the Wings album was going to make its way onto this
Your
list.
favorite era.
I feel like again, Lost was good. Um, I feel like it was definitely the right vibe for Wings era to have that type of vocal song.
Yeah.
I just feel like it was good. Okay. And then my last one in honor of the segment is Do You Think It Makes Sense? Now that song is delicious. I'm not gonna lie on it. They knew what they was doing from the jump. I think this was Dark and Wild era.
Mm-hmm.
They understood the assignment. Although honorable mentions will be Love Is Not Over.
Okay.
But yeah, top five.
Yeah. I forgot about Lost. That's a good one. I forgot really about it. Okay.
Mhm.
So my top five, one, The Truth Untold,
Mhm.
hands down best vocal line song, period. I think I said that last podcast too.
I think you did. I think
It's
you
so
did.
good. I think even like I think RM wrote it. Basically he was saying like it was based off of a poem or a book or something, and he kind of just made a song out of it. It was very poetic.
Mhm.
Um, Number two for me was House of Cards. It's also, I was giving like it was giving spy James Bond vibes,
Mhm. Mhm.
something different, especially being earlier in that era, because they were all like giving hip hop gangsta that
Yeah.
during those like times. I guess this was,
It was when they were starting to make that transition.
yeah, the transition. Yeah, because this was the most beautiful moment in life. So
Mhm.
I think we were so used to like hip hop gangsta music for them, now transitioning to kind of the vibe that we know of them now.
Mhm.
Um, Number three is Love Is Not Over. This would be
Mhm.
higher on my list if I would have probably discovered it earlier.
Mhm.
But I think in the last like year or so, I discovered this song. I think it was like one of the outros. So
Yeah, it is.
it was like very hidden, like unless you maybe did the full length version on The Most Beautiful Moment in Life, like Young Forever,
Mhm.
you wouldn't really guess it was a full song. So I think that song was so good. I think it was your
Yep,
honorable
it's my honorable
mention.
mentions.
Yeah, so I think it displayed the voices very well. Um, it was kind of my like vibe when I think of a ballad. That was my vibe.
Okay.
Four is 0 o'clock.
Okay.
I love the message of 0 o'clock. Like being like having the message saying like, okay, you can start over and like be happy.
Mhm.
Things things are not um they don't last, like it won't last that long. Your struggle won't last that long. Like things like that, those type of messages really get me because they're so relatable. Like little simple things you get mad over the day, and then they're reminding you like, okay, when that clock hits, no, 0 o'clock, you'll be happy again. It's the new day. So I thought that was really good.
You know what?
Uh,
I hate to
yeah.
interject, but I love to interject at this point because
Mhm.
that same feeling is exactly why I like UGG, but for the fact that it's okay to like let that frustration
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
So I completely understand that feeling that
Mhm.
0 o'clock gives you.
Yeah, for sure. And then five is our segment title, Do You Think It Makes Sense? It gives me R&B.
Mhm.
It's they like explain it. I'm like,
I
yes.
say explain what?
Yes, it's so good. I don't think people know about that one as much either.
I
But
think if you're not body rolling when they saying explain it, you're not listening to the song right, okay?
right, it's so good.
Because you
I
didn't hear
like the R&B vibes. And then my honorable mention was Dimple. I think you had that in your top
Yep,
five.
that was my number two.
Yeah. If I could rank six, it would be Dimple because I thought Dimple was really good. And then if you watch Magic Shop Busan, the DVD or Blu-ray,
Mm-hmm.
when they performed it, I think that was the first time they performed it, if I'm not mistaken. I thought the performance was really, really good too. It was very charming, like
Right? It's
it's
just
so cute.
feel good.
Yes,
Feel good.
I
Yeah.
agree. What about you, Tess?
Yes. So my number one was Truth Untold as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree. It is a great song. It showcases all their voices so nicely. And the lyrics behind it are just beautiful. So yeah, I have to give it Truth Untold. And Truth Untold was ranked high in my overall BTS favorites list. So that one definitely had to be number one on this list for me.
Mm-hmm.
The second one for me was 0 o'clock. Again, I agree. Same thing, same reasons that you were saying, Mariah, like that whole message of just like, when you're having a bad day, when things aren't going well, when you're just like everything just maybe seems like it's going wrong that day, but like getting up the next morning, starting new, 0 o'clock happens and you start over. And that one has been a good one for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then number three was Dimple. Again, I agree. Like the performance on Magic Shop was so good, so cute. And I think of that performance specifically every time I think of that song. And I'm just like, they're just so cute and they just sing it so well. And it's just such a great song. They do such a great job with it. Number four was House of Cards.
Okay.
Had to give it up to that song. I agree. It was very different sound. Again, they did amazing with it. I definitely know, like the first time I heard it, I was like, oh, this is very different than a lot of their other stuff. So I had to give it up to that song. And five, which was not this one is different from anyone you guys had. You guys did not have this on your list, was Butterfly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I really liked that one. I will say too, when they sang it at the Yet to Come concert, uh, sounded just amazing too. So
Well, I thought Butterfly had rap line on it, no?
no,
No.
just vocals.
It might just be vocal. She might be right.
Okay, good list. It seems like we all had
Do you have an
the
honorable mentions today?
I did not.
That's okay.
Okay.
You think of anything?
Okay.
we all had pretty similar songs, so
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Butterfly was different because nobody else had that on their list.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Lost was good.
Lost was different on
Yeah,
my
Lost
I
was a good
think
one.
Mariah, yours kind of like had a combination of both of ours.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Okay. So let's do top rap line song. So Tayo, you can go first on this one.
All right. My number one for rap line was Cypher Part 1. Or sorry, not Part 1. Cypher Part 4.
Okay.
That sounds better.
Yeah. Sorry, I was like, nope, not
We were
Part 1.
all like, oh, okay.
Sorry, Part 4.
Mhm.
And I will say for this one, I really liked, so during Suga's concert, he did a medley, and this was one of them on it. And that
Why?
also like built my love for this song too, was hearing it like sung live and better. So number two was Dang.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I had said this before, this one was like high on my list for songs. Or when we did like the Say One Drop one, there we go. Mic drop. And I said that I would save this one. So yeah, this one had to rank high on my top five. Number three was UGG. And yeah, again, I always think of the Mott's one performance with them like in the ring with each other.
Oh yeah.
Such a great performance. That's so good. And then number four was Outro Tier.
Mm-hmm.
And this one also ranked more higher on my list more recently when I also learned that the lyrics to the song had more to do with their like almost breakup in 2018.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So when I heard like that was more of those lyrics, I had to like go back and listen to it. And I was like, okay, I think the song is so much different than what I originally thought. So
Yeah,
definitely,
they were talking about that in, was it Swishita?
yeah, yep. Suga was talking about it in Chichita. So I was like, okay. And then my last one, number 5, was Cypher Part 3.
Okay.
Okay.
I think they said during their Yet to Come concert that this one was probably going to be a retired song of theirs now.
Yeah, I said they were not performing it anymore, which is so sad.
Yeah. Do you have any honorable mentions?
Not that I could think of.
All right, what about you, Tola?
Okay, so for my rap line, you already know what my number 1 is. Ugh, okay.
I feel like you've been saying that the last
and will continue to say it forevermore. Okay, it will forever be like my number 1 song. As I said before, I literally created a playlist around it that says if I am listening to this, it's already late. I'm mad. Granted, even though the playlist title may be a little deceiving, it's my cool down. Let me take a bit. Let me think about my emotions type of playlist. But that's what it inspired. That's what it brought forth, because it was my okay song. So as you said with the 0 o'clock, that told you, it's okay to restart your day. Things happen, but every day is a different, and it brings forth new opportunities. That's my girl. It's okay to stress relief. Everybody stress relieves. It's normal. It's worse to hold it in. It is a perfect part of human function. Right. Just sigh, let it out, but keep moving forward. That's what that song gave to me. So my number 2 is Tear.
Okay.
For the emotional aspect of it as well, but I'll tell you alone, Hobie ate that up.
He did. And did.
Carried that song, so we number 2. Okay.
Right.
So Tear is just, and then I just see him in that all black outfit. If you know the one I'm talking about, then So it's just a whole vibe. Honestly, Tear was great. I think they again put their foot into that. And Taylor, as you said, like that song that song was inspired by their potential, well, not potential, almost disbandment. So I feel like, yes, you can feel the emotions that they wanted in that song. And again, like having Hobie close out the song, like he came forward with it.
He did.
Good. Okay, let me stop. Let me calm down. Okay, so my number 3 was Dang. I don't know, the lyricism, RM definitely carried. I don't know who carried, because they all came pretty hard.
Definitely not.
I feel like I don't know, they delivered in the best way possible, and then with the hints of their cultural music and like what is it, ancestral instruments. I couldn't tell you what the instrument was, but just like how they incorporated that into Dang made it that much better. Because I know like they do it from time to time, but like realistically, how often do we hear them incorporate like cultural instruments?
Right. I think they even like for their performances, the first
their outfit.
Yeah,
weren't they in like hanbok?
Yeah, exactly. So it was really cool to see.
So Dang is number 3. My number 4 was Cypher Part 4. Love the message, love the song, love my Sugar. Sugar was not coming to play with nobody. He said, "Look, move. Give me the mic and go sit down." That's what they said. Ate it up, and we got Part 4. Honestly, that's the only Cypher that made it on this list.
Really?
Well, I have honorable mentions, but Cypher Part 4 is the only one, and that was a very hard decision because I knew I wanted a Cypher on this top 5 list. I just didn't know which one was giving more. So my number 5 was Her. I feel like Her was just very more so uplifting. It was giving old school type of vibes for me. I feel like, at least with RM's part, it was giving more of a, I don't want to say like maybe like late 90s, maybe just 90s era type of vibe, type of hip hop vibe.
Okay.
So that's what I got from that. My honorable mention was Cypher Part 2.
Okay.
Ate it up. That one, okay, so maybe next one we're gonna have to see who ate up the ciphers more.
Yeah, that might be it might be
Like who just
a
took
big.
it and said, "This is my joint." And I think that's what made it so hard was because each of them deliver so differently
Mhm,
whenever they're on a cipher track. Even to the point where, cipher, what was it, one or two, the track changed because
mhm.
like the flow was so different. And I feel like for the most part the track changes because their flows change. And sometimes their flows continue to like I remember one of them RM hit us with like five different flows and I said, "Sir, I'm trying to breathe. Like, calm down." But yeah, that's my list. Tier, Dang, Part Four, and Her.
Okay, pretty good, pretty good. I think all of ours are probably going to be similar when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to what songs are on there.
Mm-hmm.
So my top song for Rap Line was Dang.
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned before how just like you said, Tola, the lyricism, the use of the word in many different forms, like
Mm-hmm.
the way they explained how they wrote it was just top tier for me. My second song on the list is Cypher Part 3. Like you guys were saying, it was really hard to figure out which cipher was like better than the other. So I think it would be a
Right.
really good segment to rank those and maybe figure out who ate the most. So I agree we should do that next week. But Cipher Part 3 was, I guess, more raw,
Mm-hmm.
but still polished.
Part three is with
Um,
Supreme Boy, correct? Or is that
no, that was two.
two? Okay, that's two.
No, I'm sorry. It might be three. It might be three. I think he was in
Let's be real. I
first
told you,
three.
Supreme Boy is their eighth member. Like, stop playing first and
I think,
foremost.
yeah, I think he was actually in the first three. I might be wrong, so I don't know. But anyway, I think, and I can explain this a little bit later too when I talk about the other ciphers, but
He's
three,
part three. Sorry.
yeah, part three was it was polished, but
Mm-hmm.
still gave us like the raw energy of what a cipher is supposed to be, like that rough, like that it wasn't like different, it was different tracks. Everyone had a different flow, like you could
Mm-hmm.
it really stood out of like, okay, this is my part, this is, Namjoon's part, this is Sugar's part, this is J-Hope's part. It was still giving that raw uncut. Number three was Tear, because of the message, like it hits harder when you know, like, okay, that was a point of time where they were struggling. Also agree that Dior J-Hope is superior J-Hope when he's in that black Dior suit.
Say it.
Oh my goodness, Hobie.
He knew. He knew too. I was like,
Man,
don't you ever rap at me in that outfit again.
right? Just gorgeous. And number four is Cypher Part 4
Mm-hmm.
for me, because I feel like this song, the beat, just I think any rap enthusiast can listen to the song and appreciate it without knowing who BTS is,
I agree.
because it is more polished. It flows a little bit better from, person to person. I think they finally figure out like their distinct flows when it comes to rapping. You can clearly like hear, okay, this is how Sugar raps, and he kind of raps that way throughout his own songs, and this is how J-Hope raps, and this is how Namjoon
Mm-hmm.
raps. They finally have a like definitive sound to themselves. But it lost that like uncut raw aspect of it too, because when you think of a cipher, you think people like rap battling. So like when you have something too polished, it could lose that essence.
Yes, but
And
question. Do you think they did it to match the era, which is Wings? Because I feel like that whole era and the whole album itself is very polished.
maybe I think it was too more of like their last one.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe they were just more defined in how they do things. Maybe they were polishing up their image too in a way.
Mm-hmm.
So it could all, come to play. So it could be. Uh, and then last was Ugh, also a great song. I don't know what I wanted more, but I wanted something more from this song, and that's why it's like lower on my list.
This is offensive to me and my ancestors.
But it's still a great song. Like I'd be like, oh, like in the car. So I get it, and I get why it's the top of your list, but I think it was missing something to me for me, and I don't know what.
Like the 18 count of throwing it back wasn't enough for you, ma'am?
I don't know. Maybe the chorus could have had a little bit more. I don't know. But J Hope definitely was my favorite
Mhm.
verse on that song. And then honorable mentions is Cypher Part 2. I
Okay.
think it wasn't Cypher Part 2. I think you were mentioning this Tola earlier.
Mhm.
Um, it was very raw,
Mhm.
but not as polished as we want. It was just so much going on. I think that was the one they had like 3 totally different tracks.
Mhm.
It was just like a lot, but it was still
Even the
really
track video, I think that's one of the things that attracted me to it too. Was
yeah,
like the animation of the track video for Cypher Part 2. If you've never watched it, please go do that. But it's very immersive.
yeah, yeah. So honorable mention for sure.
Okay.
All right. Well, I think that wraps up the segment. Like we were saying earlier, we would love to hear what you guys would rank the songs. And you can follow us on social media via Instagram or Twitter and use the hashtag BTS Army Stories PPY to let us know, what your ranking would be, or you can debate us if you like politely about what you guys thought of our rankings as well.
We're going to wrap up with our last segment of the episode, one we hope you are starting to become familiar with. And this segment is called Could You Please Silence Your Cell Phone? A segment where we cover the who, what, where, when, and why of all BTS-related news, promotions, and media content that occurred in the past week. All we ask is that you grab a snack, sit back, relax, and silence your cell phone. Allow us to tell you what's been going on in the realm of BTS. So, in recent news, and it's only been a week, so much only happens in a week, right?
Right.
But we have a few updates. One, if you are an avid watcher or enjoyer of Running Man, Taehyung will be making an appearance on the episode that is set to broadcast on December 3rd of 2023. I have caught a few episodes of Running Man. I don't know if y'all have ever watched it, caught some episodes, but it's actually fun.
I haven't.
There's episodes from years ago where they appeared on Running Man. It was actually really funny.
Is
So
that
it's
the
like,
one where it's like a variety show and they're on
yes.
in
And
the
they
school?
do no. So you're thinking of Knowing Bros.
Oh.
Where they're in the school uniforms and they go and they play fun games in that classroom setup. With
Yeah.
Running Man, they can be out in public, they can be out in the field. They basically have little games and things that they have to complete and do. So
Okay.
one could be like they have to be at a shipping yard and move boxes. I think that was literally the episode that they were on as a group back in maybe 2017, 2018. What
Okay.
era did Suga have blue hair?
Oof.
You know what blue onto that the highlighter
Like
blue?
highlighter blue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Was that
whatever era
DNA
that was, I think DNA, I think it was DNA era.
or dope or yeah, that era.
So
Yeah.
it was around that time. I know they went on there maybe twice around that time. So if you guys ever want to go watch it, definitely do. It was so adorable. They were falling for Jimin with his cuteness that I think he literally hustled them into doing whatever the activity was for them. I was like, don't let this boy play you.
Right.
So that's Running Man.
I believe Jin was on that show prior to his military. That was one of his
He may have been
promotional
actually.
things that he did recently.
Okay, yeah. So definitely keep an eye out for that. And I'm gonna go keep an eye out for the Jin episode as well. So that is coming December 3rd, 2023. Next, Jungkook took home the top global K-pop song with 7 at the 2023 Billboard Music Awards. Right? Okay, so we see him. We see him doing what he has to do.
Right.
On top of that, Jungkook is also the first Korean soloist in 9 years to win a Brit Silver certification. Now, 9 years ago, Psy won it with Gangnam Style, and y'all know how Gangnam Style.
Iconic.
Oh, woo! So to imagine how big Cookie's songs, like
Yeah.
his album had to have
Yeah.
been, because
Yeah.
Gangnam Style had everybody in a choke. Like that chokehold
Right.
Yeah.
was so
Internationally.
unserious.
Mhm.
So shout out to him, because in 9 years to be the first Korean in 9 years, that's amazing for you. That's amazing for, the culture, for the people as well. So
Right.
shout out to you. Um, Also, idol group brand reputations dropped, and BTS again topped this list with a reputation index of 6,057,076. Now, get this, the key words that they used to kind of get this reputation index, the highest keywords were Jungkook and Jimin. So I don't know what the boys have been doing that has everybody searching them up on X and YouTube and Twitter and the internet, but they were bringing in the people. Of course, we
Okay.
know Cookie's golden promotions, yes, and maybe I
Yeah.
guess with Jungkook's Face album, it wasn't that long ago.
Jimin's, yeah.
Yeah, Jimin's.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know Jungkook has also been very active on not Twitter, on TikTok.
Oh yeah, so
So
people are just
definitely.
getting them up there. So congrats to them on that. And then also the Melon Music Awards are coming up, and BTS has been nominated for a few categories actually. So
As
they
they
were
should.
yes, they were nominated for Artist of the Year. Jimin was nominated for Album of the Year with his Face EP. And then there is a section called the Millions Top 10 Awards. I'm not necessarily familiar with what this is, and maybe that'll be my homework to dive deeper into this. But for this specific award, and I'm assuming that it's one of those awards where multiple people win under the category, because there were a plethora of nominees. Within that category, Suga won with his Auguste D-Day album. Not won, I'm sorry, was nominated. Jimin was nominated with his Face EP. Cookie was nominated with his Seven single, and I assume it's only the single because maybe that debut or that came out before the cutoff. That's just my assumption. If anybody knows, definitely let us know. And also V was nominated with Layover. So imagine that having to compete against each other, but if there's multiple winners, hopefully everybody's a winner.
Everybody wins.
Everybody wins.
You get a win.
They were also nominated for Best Male Group. Jungkook was nominated for Best Solo Artist, and the group as a whole was nominated for Kakao Bank Favorite Star Award. So I'm assuming that is also another one where they have multiple winners under a category. So those were all of their nominations for the Melon Music Award. That'll be exciting to see, how that turns out. I'm sure that they will do amazingly well, regardless of whether they win or not. They are doing their thing. So
Awesome.
next, we have Standing Next to You got its second win on M Countdown, and I actually need to go see those M Countdown performances, because if there's one thing I love to do, it is watch an artist do their music bank or M Countdown performances, because their outfits, they're eating it up.
Right, they're so good.
Choreography on point, everything on point. So yeah. And then lastly, in our little news section, on Such a Toi, Suga interviewed the iconic first gen legend Jung-hwa. That, when I saw that, I personally had a little fangirl moment. I love her. I love her music. She is literally a first gen idol, and apparently she actually attended Hobie's album release party, which I thought was really
nice.
cool. I think it's great that they are able to have those connections with a lot of the first gen and second gen artists, them being a third gen K-pop group themselves. Those first gen and second gens are very iconic individuals, and for them to be coming out to release parties and supporting the boys and recognizing the work that they're doing, I think that's great within the K-pop community. So if you have a chance, go check out her interview. She is a wonderful person as well, and you could tell Suga just had a wonderful time having her on the show. So yeah, that wraps up our session of Can You Silence Your Cell Phone? Please feel free to unsilence your cell phone, put your snack away, and join us next week for our next little news session.
All right, guys, so that concludes this week's episode. For each episode, we would love to share your hashtag BTS Army stories or answer any questions you may have for us. You can submit these stories via Twitter at PPY_podcast or via email at btspartypartyandco@gmail.com. That's btspartypartyandco@gmail.com. Thank you so much for joining us on our third episode, and we look forward to continue to grow with you guys. Have a great night.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.